Imagine dwarves who traded axes for ether rifles, mines for skyships, and oaths for profit. These are the Kharadron Overlords, masters of the skies who live not by rune or hammer, but by engines, science, and gold. And the Vongrim Harpoon Crew? They prove that sometimes the best way to catch a monster is with a harpoon the size of a cannon.
Welcome back to Brush and Blood, where Warhammer meets the real world. As I paint this miniature, we'll uncover the echoes it shares with history, legend, and pop culture. Today we're tackling the Vongrim Harpoon Crew, a band of Kharadron Overlords who embody sky-faring grit and treasure-hunting spirit. While I layer on their brass, steel, and storm blue armor, we'll dive into their lore, the steampunk magic of the Overlords, and the real-world roots of dwarves who became sky pirates. Disclaimer: this episode is for entertainment purposes only. Lore and history may not be exact. This is about fun storytelling and painting minis. The Kharadron are Dwarden dwarves of the mortal realms who abandoned their mountain halls long ago. Where their kin still hammer in forges or carve runes into stone, the Kharadron chose the sky. They are a race defined by two things: ether, gold, a magical substance drifting in the clouds, and the code, the set of laws and contracts that bind their profit-driven lives. Instead of gods, they trust engines. Instead of kings, they trust captains and guild charters. Tradition gave way to technology, and magic gave way to science. And this is where they fit into Warhammer's Age of Sigmar. The mortal realms are full of magic, chaos, and divine intervention. But the Kharadron are different. They stand apart as pragmatists. They don't pray to gods. They calculate risk. They don't conquer for empires. They chase profit. Their sky fleets carve through the clouds like merchant armadas and pirate raiders combined. To the armies of chaos, they're a threat. To allies, they're mercenaries. To monsters, they're hunters. And among them, the Harpoon Crews are specialists, veterans, tasked with anchoring sky beasts, crippling enemy ships, and leading boarding actions. If the Kharadron are the sky's merchants and pirates, the Harpoon Crews are its whalers. Fun facts and lore. Here's what makes them stand out. They don't mine underground, they mine the sky itself for ether gold, a substance so volatile it can power entire fleets. The code guides their every action, but like any legal system, it's full of loopholes, amendments, and disputes. The Vongrim Harpoon Crew are experts at taking down sky beasts or crippling an enemy ship long enough for their fleet to move in. Their kit isn't just guns, it's harpoon launchers, ether rigs, grappling hooks, and gear that screams Sky Pirate Engineer. On the battlefield, harpoon units aren't just flashy. They pin monsters, anchor ships, and bring that flavorful sky hunter identity to the Overlord armies. The hunt for the ash worm. Picture this. The sky splits red over a molten sea. A massive ash worm bursts from the storm, scales glowing like burning coal. The Vongrim crew brace their harpoon launcher. The worm dives jaws wide, and the crew fire, the steel shaft punching deep into its chest. The beast thrashes, dragging the ship sideways, but the crew hold firm. They chain the line, winches screaming, until the rest of the fleet levels their sky cannons. A barrage of fire, a shattering roar, and the ash worm crashes back into the burning clouds. Another kill for profit and for the code. But that's not their only tale. Another time, high above the Sea of Mists, the crew faced a cloud leviathan, a creature so vast its wings spanned entire islands. For 3 days, they chased it through storms. Each harpoon sank into its hide like a pin into a mountain, yet the beast kept flying. Only when the fleet's entire broadside fired in unison did the leviathan finally collapse, breaking apart the storm as it fell. And then there was the night of the Sky Kraken. its tentacles lashed out from the clouds, dragging ships down into lightning-choked darkness. The Vongrim crew stood their ground, harpoons flashing with ether charge. Each strike severed a limb until the beast recoiled back into the abyss, leaving only silence and broken masts drifting in the upper winds. Every tale ends the same: the crew bloodied, the prize won, and the code upheld. For the Vongrim, hunting sky monsters isn't just survival, it's business. Real-world parallels pirates, whalers, and sky traders. The Kharadron aren't just fantasy. They echo real history. Like the whalers of the 18th and 19th centuries, they hunted leviathans for wealth, risking their lives every voyage. Like privateers and pirates, they chased profit under codes and contracts. Like the merchant guilds and corporations, think the Dutch East India Company, they wielded economic power as much as military might. Now imagine this: a whaling ship in the 1800s, rocking in icy waters. The crew grips ropes, harpoons gleaming in the cold. A massive shape reaches the surface, a whale, larger than their ship. One wrong move, and the beast could capsize them. But still, they hurl the harpoons. Ropes snap tight. The ship lurches. Men scream. The battle isn't just against the whale, it's against the ocean itself. And now flip it. Picture a pirate raid in the clouds. Grappling hooks bite into a rival airship. The boarding crew swings across, pistols and cutlasses flashing as smoke and ether fumes swirl. It's a storm in the sky, where the sea has no horizon and the plunder floats miles above the earth. That's the exact same energy the Kharadron capture, risking everything in the hunt, bound by profit and code. So the Overlords become this bizarre but perfect blend: whalers plus pirates plus corporations, with dwarves in steampunk armor. Pop culture parallels. You've seen shades of them before. In Moby Dick, harpoon crews taking on impossible beasts. In Treasure Planet, where sci-fi and sailing ships collide in the skies. In Pirates of the Caribbean, crews torn between loyalty and profit. Think of Jack Sparrow and Barbossa, bound by pirate codes they twist, break, or exploit depending on the moment. The Kharadron live that same double edge, bound by their own code, but always looking for loopholes and profit, even if it means betraying allies when the gold is right. Their fleets clash with the same chaos and cunning as rival pirate crews, except the battles aren't on seas, but in the clouds. And in Final Fantasy, with steampunk airships bristling with oversized cannons. Picture the classic JRPG moment: an airship cutting through the clouds, brass and steel gleaming, propellers roaring, while lightning streaks in the background. Entire crews working frantically as a leviathan bursts from the storm or an enemy fleet descends. Harpoons fire like lightning, cannons roar, and magic infuses the engines. It's high fantasy and high technology colliding exactly the space the Kharadron occupy in Warhammer. Now imagine this: thunderclouds split as two massive airships trade broadsides in the sky. One ship veers upward, cannons glowing as they charge a blast of aether energy. The other dives through the storm, crew scrambling to reload while harpoons lash out like lightning bolts, anchoring the enemy ship. Smoke, sparks, and magic swirl together as the battle turns into a dance of engines and steel in the clouds. That's the feeling the Kharadron capture: a mix of fantasy, technology, and raw spectacle. Their world is basically Final Fantasy brought into Warhammer. Psychology of greed and codes. Why do people in Dordan build entire societies on codes of profit? Because greed is powerful. It's raw, it drives ambition, and it pushes people to risk everything for gain. But greed alone is chaos. Left unchecked, it tears groups apart. That's why the Kharadron cling to their code. It's more than law, it's a leash on greed, a way to channel selfish ambition into structured competition. Everyone wants profit, but the code decides who earns it fairly or who wins through loopholes. It's not so different from our own world. Corporations thrive not just on ambition, but on contracts, bylaws, and endless amendments. Pirates of history bound themselves to articles of conduct, dividing plunder, punishing betrayal, because even cutthroats needed rules to function. The psychology is simple. People will follow the lure of gold, but they'll fight for it longer and harder if they believe the game is fair. For the Kharadron, loyalty doesn't come from bloodlines or kings, it comes from the code, a shared language of greed and order. And that's the paradox. The very thing that should divide them profit is what holds them together. And here we have it, the finished Vongrim Harpoon Crew, Dordan of the skies, hunters of the impossible, and proof that sometimes the only thing scarier than a monster is a dwarf with a harpoon gun. Next time on Brush and Blood, we descend back into the 41st millennium with the Terminator Squad warriors clad in the heaviest armor the Imperium can forge. Now let's rate today's episode's model.
Not too bad.